Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today I want to talk about how I practice drawing portraits and also share some important techniques that have worked for me, which might work for you guys as well. I think a lot of beginners get confused with so many methods for drawing. The Loomis method, drawing with cubes, and using simple shapes. All of these can be really overwhelming at the very first stages. At least that's how it was for me, and I was always stuck trying to figure out which one is better or easier to start with. The method that I use is basically a very simplified version of combining different methods out there. I also removed some guidelines that I thought were too unnecessary so that I could stick to a process that works better for myself. When I first started, I was really confused about all the different methods, so I decided to just pick one like the Loomis method and focus on that. And slowly I began simplifying it to make it kind of easier for myself and less confusing. As I was practicing, I realized something really important. Even though I was familiar with the methods and face structure, my drawings still weren't as good as other artists. That's the right time when I figure out something really important. The power of lines. The kind of line that you use in your drawing says a lot about your style, and it can make your drawings much better quality. Some artists use soft, curved lines, while others might use straight and sharp lines. It's really interesting to note that just like handwriting, there are very different line styles for drawings too. Some artists draw angular shapes for the eyes, kind of like glasses, very big glasses, and that works better for them. Others, like myself, I prefer to use oval shapes. It all depends on what feels most comfortable for you. And you don't always need to stick to just one method. Sometimes certain angles of a face might be easier to draw using the cube method. Or maybe you feel that starting with just one eye helps you draw the rest of the face correctly. I know that this requires a bit more skill, but it's definitely possible, and I've seen many artists use it. When I start to shade my drawings, I usually try to complete the whole face to some extent, and once I'm done with all the faces, I go back to adjust the shadows and highlights to make them blend together. But if you want to focus on developing your own shading style and you want the faces to have a very consistent look, it's better to shade them more or less at the same time. Don't fully finish one face and then move on to the next. You can start by adding a very light gray shading to all of them and then gradually darken the lines layer by layer. Since I'm a person who likes to keep my sketchbook very clean, I always place an extra piece of paper under my hands while I'm shading to prevent the pencil's pigment from smudging on the paper. If you're like me and you don't want to make the page kind of messy, I really recommend doing this because it makes such a difference and kind of makes everything look much better. Also, a reminder that a lot of your growth and progress comes from having confidence in yourself. The more you're not afraid to put those bold lines on the paper, the more you'll be able to work in a very free way. I sometimes hesitate to add certain lines to my work or worry that I might ruin the page, but I keep reminding myself that if I don't make that bold decision and add those strong lines with confidence, my paintings will never turn out the way that I imagine in my head. Because when my mind is visualizing the drawing inside of my head, it doesn't fear drawing those lines, and I need to learn how to train both my mind and my hands together so I can make much better drawings. And a very important point is that when you're drawing, you should never compare yourself to other artists' artworks. A lot of times, comparing yourself can make you feel like your work isn't good enough, but the truth is, every artist has their own unique journey. You might see artists who have mastered techniques very quickly, but remember that behind every piece of art, there are hours and hours of practice and dedication. I hope that you find this video helpful. Thank you so much for watching and stay tuned for the next videos.